Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host Neil Magnuson. This is a show about THC, truth, hope, and change. And truth, hope, and change around the cannabis issue, mostly. On the show today, we're going to have 8 out of 10 Glenn from cannamatch.ca. I think we'll visit a little bit with Adam, who's got some interesting news about his court case coming up. And we'll talk a bit about Cannabis Day and a few other things. So what's it all about then? This whole THC show, what's it all about? Well, what it's all about really is chronicling the journey of the CSP in achieving low barrier access licenses from the federal government to allow for cannabis to be dispensed without all of the barriers that are built into the Cannabis Act and this so-called legalization that we have here in Canada. The legalization that we've been given here in Canada so far by the Trudeau cartel is nothing short of a hostile takeover of the cannabis industry, with maintaining all of the different mechanisms of prohibition, still able to make tax dollars off of prohibiting cannabis for those that aren't part of the cartel, eliminating the access to the poor people, the sick people, the people that need it on a daily basis, the ones that are the most vulnerable and the most in need. They're out of the whole legalization just because of the barriers that are put there. And the biggest barrier, of course, is cost. The cost of cannabis, according to the Trudeau cartel, needs to be up, around $10 a gram for the cheap stuff. And they're going way up above that for the good stuff. The craft growers that they're going to incorporate into the whole system are going to be able to charge upwards of $20 a gram for cannabis. And that's why most people are priced right out. I mean, even poor people have been able to afford $10 a gram for the last 100 years of prohibition here, but not really. Not to get what it is that they need, the amount that they need, or anything else like that. We here at the CSP for over a year and a half now have been offering $5 for 5 grams of good bud, 1 per person per day. So 5 grams per person per day. It is a real hit here. And the feedback that we get is always the same, that we're improving these people's lives in immense ways. Cannabis is so important to people that are down and out, homeless, and struggling in so many ways. Most of the people that are down and out and homeless here on the downtown east side of Vancouver are suffering numerous different barriers to mobility and to sleeping, to nutrition. Many of them suffer with different cancers and numerous other things. And, these are things that drive a person into poverty in many cases. They drive a person into depression in many cases, which also helps them get into poverty. They can't hold their jobs. They can't work at a job. They usually lose their housing. There's not a lot of supports for people here in Canada. I mean, we do have the medical system, which is awesome. But what we don't have is any actual rights for people with disabilities. And they're not taken care of very well. And many, many, many people with disabilities are falling off the bus and ending up on the streets of Vancouver, homeless, and all the rest of it that goes with it. So the barrier of cost is the big one when it comes to cannabis. Cannabis can be produced quite cheaply. It could be produced as cheap as any other fruit and vegetable that's brought to market by farmers. I would imagine that there will also always be the people that want to pay more, the people that want the cannabis grown by connoisseurs, by the really good growers and grown under conditions that are made to be as perfect as they can, and that all costs a fair bit of money. It can be as much as about $125 a pound to produce really good quality cannabis to some sort of a modest scale, indoors of course. And so, with other things needed to be put onto there along the way with, a wholesale price and then a middleman and a retail price. And, who knows, it could be up as high as $500 for a pound of cannabis at the retail level. And $500 for a pound of cannabis works out to roughly $35 or $40 an ounce. That's pretty doable. That's that's about 50 cents a gram, maybe 50 cents a gram for the really good stuff is about what should be being charged. But because of the perversion of our economy with respect to cannabis that's happened as a result of prohibition, people were charging thousands and thousands of dollars for pounds, just a little while ago. Now the price is down quite a bit, but it's still, $1,000 or more a pound for the really good stuff, and that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Mind you, $10 a gram is $4,480 for that same pound. So if you're buying a pound for $1,500 and you're able to sell it for, $4,480, that's a pretty damn good markup. That's better markup than what just about any other commodity in our marketplace is priced at. So the whole economics of cannabis is skewed right from the beginning because of prohibition. And then legalization has really only made it worse. The actual cost of cannabis these days through the legal supplier for the good stuff is more than what you would have paid and will pay in the underground or unregulated marketplace. That's mostly because the Trudeau cartel takes their $448 right off the top of every pound that's sold here in Canada. They take that much, $448 a pound. It just boggles my brain, really. It really does. And then the provinces, then they put their taxes on, the municipalities put their taxes on, and then they sell it to the independent retailers, and they, of course, put their markup on it, and by the time the public gets it, it's more than what it was before prohibition. I'll just throw in there that there's also government stores that don't have to go through some of the stuff that the private stores do. And so that their markup is quite a bit better than the other stores, and they're doing quite a bit better than the privately owned stores. And I think something needs to be done about that. We need to be looking into why our government would be protecting its profits at the expense of the other like businesses in the marketplace. That's something worth looking into. There's a lot of things worth looking into in the cannabis file, that's for sure. Why a government would continue to put restrictions on cannabis as if it was worse for our society than alcohol or tobacco or pharmaceutical drugs. That makes no sense when you look at the science of it all. Those three that I mentioned actually kill an enormous amount of people. Alcohol causes mayhem for society in many different areas, in many different ways. Pharmaceutical drugs turn people into zombies with nasty side effects and inabilities to function and feel like a real human being should. Commercial tobacco kills 4 or 5 million human beings every 12 months. And that's not the half of it, because it's also the number one reason that people are admitted to hospitals, here in Canada at least, probably similar around the world, especially in third world countries where the tobacco may be even more harmful and people are smoking even more of it than they are here in North America. All of those things are very costly to individuals and to society. And you compare it to cannabis. Well, nobody dies from cannabis, and that's a pretty interesting fact all by itself. 0 deaths attributed to overdosing on cannabis. As we talked about, there's a lot of deaths associated with commercial tobacco. There's a few hundred deaths that are directly from alcohol poisoning that happen every 12 months here in British Columbia. And of course there would be tens of thousands of other health issues to do with alcohol, other than death as well. And also thousands and thousands of other deaths from impaired driving. I mean, that's not alcohol poisoning, impaired driving. Domestic violence, where people are killed. There's a lot of murders that happen from people that are drunk or people that get drunk. So the cost to society is enormous for those 3 substances that I mentioned. The cost to society from cannabis, I'm sure it has to be 0. In fact, I'm sure it's way below 0. I'm sure that the cost benefits of having cannabis in our society are also enormous. For many individuals, many of the ones that we meet here on the downtown east side, the benefits of cannabis is enormous. As I mentioned, with our $1 gram that we have here, 5 grams per person per day, so much feedback about how helpful that is for people. Instead of going and spending the only $20 that they have in their pockets that day on 2 grams of unregulated cannabis on a street corner somewhere or down in a basement suite, they can come to the Healing Wave RV and they can get 5 grams for $5. The 2 grams that they got for their $20 is gone by that night. By midnight, that weed is gone, and they only wish they had more. The 5 grams that they get, there's weed left over. They wake up in the morning and they still got some weed. And it only took 5 of their $20. So they got some food in their belly before they went to sleep. It's enormous. Not to mention the overall well-being that happens when you're using cannabis on a regular basis. Not to mention how it can drag you out of the pits of despair. That's why it's so valuable. It's why so many people like it. It's why so many people were willing to be criminals and break the law and have possession of cannabis. Cannabis is an amazing commodity, and it's just been lied about for the last 100 years, and they're still lying about it. Of course, along with the lies for the last 20 years or so, there's been a number of different news articles and proclamations about the benefits of cannabis. We have a medical cannabis program here in Canada. We have tens of thousands of people that have been given permission by their doctors to use cannabis as their medicine for fairly serious illnesses and things. It's obviously medicine. But now, finally, we have a proclamation from the American Medical Association that says marijuana, cannabis, is associated with significant health improvements. Significant health improvements. Many people suffer from all sorts of significant health issues. A lot of people suffer in silence and nobody knows, because certainly as the males in our society, we've been taught to keep these things to ourselves. We don't complain about stuff. Most of us won't go see a doctor. We just suffer in silence. And I'm sure that that's true for a number of women as well. There's a lot of people suffering with significant health issues, from traumas, both physical and emotional, to chronic situations, to birth situations. There's a lot of people that have a lot of things going on with them. And to now make an announcement, American Medical Association makes an announcement that there are significant health improvements associated with the use of cannabis. We need to stop for a minute, close our eyes, stand up and do a 360, and open up our eyes again and think about that in the meantime and come up with, what the hell? Marijuana was public enemy number 1 in the United States, and pretty much if you look at the expenditures of law enforcement and the activities of law enforcement, also here in Canada for a very long time. So much money, precious tax dollars that could have been used for so many good things, have been squandered and wasted, given to judges, prison guards, policemen, and other people to run around and hassle people to the point of criminal prosecution for having things to do with cannabis. Certainly with the case of law enforcement, that time that they spent and got paid for could have been used to find missing and murdered women, for example, which is a huge issue here in Vancouver and across Canada. The smuggling of children, human slavery, so many big pressing issues that we have here. And yet somehow our governments, on behalf of the corporations who they're supporting in this, have seen fit to waste millions and billions and trillions of dollars of ours on something that should never have been made illegal in the first place. It was never justified. Sure, there was stories in the media by a very crooked media mogul on behalf of some of his crooked corporate friends to try to demonize cannabis. But our public servants are paid good money to be smart people and to see through all of that. Not to be bought and engage in a conspiracy to try to eradicate and eliminate cannabis from the marketplace and from society, so that these unethical corporate greedy bastards could replace it with their synthetic, inferior, and in many cases harmful substitutes. This is a serious crime with tentacles that go into numerous different directions. It has cost us so much money that we can't even calculate it. It's $4.19. That went quick, for me anyway. It's a huge story. It's an incredible story. It's one that's still going on today. As our chief coroner said a couple of weeks ago in a meeting with the BC municipalities, organized crime has infiltrated our federal government at the highest levels. And that's what's propagating, fueling this overdose epidemic. Just think about that for a few minutes. It's not bad enough that organized crime has got their greedy little claws into our lives through our governments. But it's murdering people. It's ruining people's lives. It's taking people's lives. It's starving people. It's forcing people out of their homes. This collaboration with organized crime and our public servants is not sustainable. It's sending our society into a horrible tailspin, into a toilet that we don't know what sewer we're going to end up in. But it is increasing all the time. People are losing their homes, their livelihoods, and it's all directly resulting from a government that doesn't care about the people, because they're in business with people who only care about making money. Greed has ruled our day for a long time, and it needs to stop before it's too late for all of us. So it's 4:20, time for a little levity, time for Glenn Wells to come and get us on a little better track. But this is what the show's about. Hey, Glenn.
Afternoon. No, the show's about you and the CSP.
Well, that's a topic I could talk about for a while, because it is what drives it all.
Yeah, we know.
You know?
Yeah.
It's why I'm here. It's what it's all about. This is the most horrendous crime that I can imagine.
It's crazy. I keep talking about it too when I tell other people. You know, what we're probably talking about on the podcast probably on Thursday too.
There's a lot of people talking.
And being I'm in Ontario, maybe some politician will hear it or something. You never know, right?
Well, eventually, hopefully it all gets back to them.
Yep. Let's hope and pray. Got to get the word out there.
Well, we can't stop beating the drum, because, I mean, this is very, very serious. I mean, we're talking about government corruption in a lot of different areas, what they've done with gambling and casinos and numerous other ways that they've infiltrated.
They're gambling on the hockey games now.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh,
is that ever terrible?
Oh, my God. Oh, and they go, well, you can pick whatever you want. You can pick how many goals it'll be or what period this will happen. It's like, that just increase the odds of you losing. All those choices and stuff like that.
The better their commercials, the more people get involved, the less chance you have of winning. And the house always wins on all these things.
That's why they do it. They wouldn't do it if there wasn't any money in it.
Of course.
No.
And the big house that's winning is the NHL, and that's what's so disgusting. This is a sport that is loved by children and affects children throughout our society. We all love our NHL hockey players and the NHL and all the rest of that, you know, the kids growing up.
Yeah.
And they're going to see their heroes up there, you know, Austin Matthews and Wayne Gretzky and Connor McDavid, and these heroes that are standing up and saying, go spend your money on gambling. Maybe you'll win something. Look at the fancy suit I'm wearing. Oh my goodness, girls will hang out with you. It's just disgusting. They're running them on the boards around the rinks. It's every third or fourth commercial during the breaks. And yeah, I'm just so disgusted by all of that.
Have
I
you
thought we were gonna bring me some levity
we
for
are.
our poor
All right,
listeners
all
who
right.
just want a positive show once, you know.
Well, you were talking about marijuana being good for you, cannabis being good for you. There was
Yeah.
also sustained.
Sustained use sustains
so
the
it wasn't
benefits.
just the improvement, but it sustained the improvement.
And they talked
also.
about insomniacs,
Yeah,
you know,
and
about the
pain.
benefits there, and
And
pain.
pain.
And what two areas of human suffering are greater or experienced by more people than trouble sleeping
Yeah.
and pain?
Yep.
You know, there's not much to.
They almost go
you know,
hand in hand because you're
Yeah,
not
they're-
sleeping, you're a bit tired.
Well,
and
you can't deal with your pain as well, right?
Yep, yep.
And the pain keeps you awake. It's a vicious cycle.
It
It's
is.
so many people are in pain. So many people can't sleep properly. I told you before about my great idea, right?
Yeah, I think so. Which one?
It was in the for me. I mean, I'm a neophyte.
Yeah,
I'm an old guy, but for me, it was the early days of the internet,
yeah.
and
You mean
I had this brilliant idea that you know, if this was worldwide and everybody could access it, all you need to do was gather together the cutting edge evidence of how to sleep naturally without using pills and other things like that. Right?
Cannabis.
Yeah, natural. Cannabis, of course, would be a
It's a
strategy
natural.
to
It's
use.
a natural thing,
But
right?
for me at the time, I wasn't really thinking about cannabis.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And so
So
I was thinking that people need help sleeping.
Like
It's like there's
melatonin.
so many people that aren't sleeping properly, and they're going to their doctors and they're getting prescription medicine to help them sleep, which really messes them up in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. And it doesn't like you talk about
mine
sustainable.
had me on oxazepam.
They're not sustainable.
No.
When you take them for a while, then they stop working. Now you need something more powerful. Now you can't sleep at all.
Yeah.
No, it was terrible, and I know it was terrible. I've been aware of this for a long time in my life. So my great idea is that I'm going to put together a website that'll have all the leading edge, new understandings or whatever, all the different ways that you can put yourself to sleep without taking pills.
Yeah.
So I go to my brother, who is much younger and much more up on internet stuff than I was at the time. I was dragged kicking and screaming into the technological world. I don't like it, but it is what it is. I don't know why. But anyway, I go to my brother and I say, "Hey, I got this great idea, Sam." And so I tell him what it is, and he looks up on the internet and
He's already got
says,
one.
"Natural sleeping methods."
Mm-hmm.
Well, it showed you the top 10 results of about 420,000 results.
Really? So 420,000 people had the idea that you already had. Yeah. Have you ever heard
maybe
about?
a good idea, but I certainly wasn't alone in it.
You ever heard about banana peels?
I've heard about them.
Bananas have the same sleeping stuff that turkey does, but just not as much.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, yeah. And then
Interesting.
you can make a banana tea, drink that, and it'll help you sleep.
Bananas have a lot of potassium in them as
They
well.
do? Yeah.
I was interested to see one of the Canucks there. What's that new guy's name that was so good that they hired the winger there that set all kinds of club records for goals? Played Kuzmenko.
Yeah.
So Kuzmenko was sitting on the bench during a game eating a banana.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
You know, bananas are berries.
Are they?
They're berries.
Because they come from
They're
a tree.
considered a berry. No, it's not a tree.
No, a banana tree.
No, it's not. It's a bush. Believe it or not, it's a bush. It actually has no wood, and
I've seen
you can
a
Google
banana,
it. You
there's
keep
a
it on.
banana tree at the
They
Quayside
call 'em-
Park
they-
in
they
New
call 'em
Westminster.
banana
Yeah,
trees.
it produced a little banana.
Wow, they're berries.
It was sour.
Yeah, you ate it.
Yeah, I tried it, of course.
Oh, you're a braver man than me.
Well,
I don't try shit. I don't know how I got to eat anything because I'm just not good at trying anything new. Really.
Oh, I was curious, right?
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I knew it.
My curiosity is overridden by my fear of it not tasting good, I guess.
Well,
I'm
if
not
I ate
sure.
the whole thing, then it would have been maybe.
Hey, it's 4:20. What am I doing?
I don't know. You're behind time there. Yeah.
Do-si-do.
I'm even
just
smoking in front of you.
I'm just do-si-doing away here.
You are.
Yeah, you were puffing away on it.
Yeah, that's do-si-do from the island.
Of course, I started the show smoking. So.
We're gonna take that to Toronto or not Ontario with me. So I've got to do Hamilton, Mississauga, and I'm going to a place called Tiny, Ontario.
Tiny Ontario.
Tiny. It's near the Georgian Bay or something like
Let
that.
me guess, it's not very big.
No, it's probably not very big. Yeah, it's a township too.
It's probably not one of those where it's a really huge town and they just decided to name it Tiny.
You know what's in Tiny? Mike Rita's podcast.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, it's in a
You'll be
studio.
broadcasting from Tiny, Ontario.
Well, the show will be recorded and then broadcast a week later. Yes, from Tiny, Ontario. Yeah. So I've already Googled. It's 2 hours.
I've wanted
and
to
11
say that forever.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 11 minutes from Mississauga to there, so I'd have to be there by 7 o'clock Thursday night. So we'll probably leave around 4:30, 4 o'clock, because there's a lot of fucking traffic in Toronto. All right, those highways.
And they're not very nice most of the time.
No. So.
There's an attitude in Toronto on the highways that I didn't appreciate very much.
And Isabel gets to go with us.
That's so
She's
cool.
going to be outside of the studio.
Is it big enough for? Is it big enough for Tiny?
Yeah, it's big enough. Yeah.
Or is it big enough for Isabel? Sorry.
For a big, for the both of us.
Because the one thing I really understood about Ontario when I went there is it's not tiny.
No.
It's not tiny.
And you know what? Another thing about Ontario is they're the biggest province in Canada, and they don't recycle.
Well, I saw a news report yesterday.
Pop bottles and stuff, no. Beer cans and milk jugs, yes, but we don't have very many milk jugs.
So they don't give
Ontario.
a deposit?
They got bags.
They don't give a deposit back on the bottles? Ship that stuff to Vancouver.
And how many people could be helped in Ontario by going into all the ditches and picking up, like you go to Ontario and you look, there's pollution in those ditches with bottles.
You know, I got a little group over there right now. I mean, every 3 or 4 days we accumulate a dozen and a half or 2 dozen bottles of some sort or other. I put them outside the door. You should see how people.
Imagine with the Ontario's big.
Are you putting those out there for people to take? Yes, I am. No, I say no. I'm putting them out there for you. Oh,
no,
well, thank you so much. They say
they recycle plastic, but they don't have the deposit program that we have here. You can still bring your beer if you want to.
Right, but these people aren't going to be able to take the bottles in and get themselves a few dollars.
No,
that's disgusting.
I know, and it's
that
the
makes
biggest
no sense.
province in Canada.
It's huge.
I don't understand why. They could be
I don't understand why, because that's not what I thought you were referring to. I thought you were talking about recycling in general. I mean, you know, the deposit, the system for bottles and containers.
Yeah.
I think that is a proper positive thing to do.
Yeah.
But I just did see a news article yesterday about a study recently released showing that recycling is not good for the planet. It's not,
really? Yeah.
The way that they're doing. Well, they ship a lot of it. You know, to China, somewhere else.
Yeah.
And sometimes China or somewhere else says, no, we can't, our capacity is full, we're full, and they'll ship it back.
Oh, wow.
Imagine 2 ships across the ocean to try to, you know, recoup a few dollars or something off some plastics and
so
things.
we need to be able to do it here in our own country.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm sure, I know there's ways that recycling makes sense. I mean, that would be dumb. But the way that they're doing it, the way that they've sold us this bill of goods here on the whole thing, is apparently not good for the planet, not really, you know, anything that's helping our economy to any degree. In fact, it might be hurting it. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I read these things. You know, you never know what to believe.
We've always known in North America it was a disposable society, because my psychiatrist was German, and he even pointed that out, that when something breaks here in North America, we throw it out and go get a new one. Yeah. In Germany, they walk to the corner to the store where they repair things and get it fixed. Right? You know,
what we do here is we put them out in the lanes. They're gone in no time, and people are either taking them apart for their parts and then using all of that, or they're refurbishing it and making it work, or they're using it to build little structures, or you know, whatever. I mean, for example, obviously, and in fact, things have actually changed quite dramatically here in Vancouver. The people that have been living in the lane since before we got here, over 3 years, they've been kicked out of there now. And almost all the tents have been taken down. People
really,
have been kicked
in the laneways and everything, eh?
Yeah, there's nobody in the lane anymore.
Wow.
I mean, there shouldn't be people on the sidewalks in tents. I mean, and there shouldn't be like hundreds of poor people with all of their poor belongings all over the place, blocking passage, blocking door. Oh, that was a crazy situation. It had to end. Not happy at all about how they ended it, I'll tell you. Not sure where it's going to end up now, because, you know, where are these people? Where have they gone? I see some of the people. In fact, I saw Teresa from the back lane trudging through the streets with a big backpack on.
Wow, really?
You know, and she was asked by Des how she's doing, and she says, "Well, we're hanging in there at this point." But you know, I don't know what the solutions are. I don't like what the solution was for what they've done here. But it is a lot better to be in this area now and have all these tents gone for the most part. There are tents that go up every night. Yeah. There's maybe 10, 12 tents, you know, in the 3-4 blocks here that go up every night and come down again in the morning. Yeah. There's still the dump truck, the garbage truck, with the 4 or 5 city workers, with the 6 or 8 police officers that are still, converging on anybody who hasn't
morning.
moved their tent in time.
Yeah.
And they'll just quickly take all their stuff and put it into the garbage truck.
Wow.
And that's their, this is how they're dealing with
Yeah.
it. Is we're going to take all of your belongings, make you even poorer than you were before, give you no way to shelter. And you figure it out for yourself, because all our places are full and we don't have any places for people to go. But, that's what they're doing. And I guess they're going to continue on this horrible campaign for the foreseeable future until just nobody does it anymore.
Yeah, and then they'll all come back again. Or
well, I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't know where it's going to all end up or how it's going to end up here. But it's not good anyway, and we'll see.
And then the guy that was here, wasn't he one of those famous artists that spray painting and stuff? No, graffiti guy? No. Oh, that was not him?
The one, Teresa and James, they lived in the back there.
Okay.
Like I say, they were there before us.
Yeah.
They kept that lane cleaner than just about any of the other lanes.
Yeah.
Anywhere. I gave them money once in a while for keeping it clean. I said, you're doing a great job here, buddy. All the businesses, all the neighbors that used the back lane, they all loved him.
Yeah.
He was offered space inside, or they were offered space inside a year and a half ago or so. It lasted a couple of weeks, and then they were back out there for whatever reason. I don't know.
Huh.
But you can't know what the personal motivations is of people. But they were decent people.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they've gone. See, this is the thing. Where else do they go?
They found a park somewhere, probably.
Well, Crab Park is really packed now.
Yeah, I know.
And I think they're just suppressing some of the information about what's going on there, because when you get a very packed, cramped, homeless encampment,
it can be dangerous.
It can be dangerous.
Yeah,
Stuff
but they
goes
already
on
knew
there.
that. But there's an injunction, so they can't touch them there, right?
Yeah, well, they have to leave them alone there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, people can set up in the parks, but they have to be out by 6 a.m.
Wow.
Don't see a lot of that, but I think there's some of that going on.
Wow.
Anyway, that's
It's
another
sad.
sad story.
Yeah,
We talk about so many sad stories on this show.
Yeah. All that money that they collect on cannabis taxes could be going towards building homes for people.
You're going to get me going on cannabis taxes.
Well, you just were. So, but I did hear that in 2 years we're supposed to have
that would be
650
fine.
units soon.
I'm sure that the majority of the cannabis community would be fine paying tax on cannabis if that money was going to real good, and demonstrably good and significantly good, and if those people that couldn't afford that markup don't have to pay the markup, including those people that can't pay anything, they have it supplied to them, because that's what needs to happen here.
Yeah.
The people that can't afford it are the ones that need it the most. It is such benefit to them. It can help turn their lives around.
They're just going to give us the government stuff, though.
Well, there's another area.
It's not as good as our gray market stuff, right? So, and then unless the government stuff improves, and then they give it to us on an insurance plan for free, that would be all right?
Agreed. The government stuff has to improve.
Yes.
Now, according to a good friend of mine who's got a license to produce for the government, he's not spraying his cannabis with nasty chemicals. He's not irradiating the cannabis to kill the microbes. He's running a clean enough room that the microbes are not in the numbers that they would be, denied.
And that would be the gentleman who does things like that.
And that's where I was going with that.
See, I do. Yeah.
Because, Redbeard traded sides.
Well, he's working.
I love Redbeard.
Yeah,
and he's a
no
super good human being.
Yeah.
So if he decided to go the route that he did, it must have been after proper consultation with his inner self and his people around him.
Yeah.
And he must have felt it was the right thing to do, and maybe it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said that I'd rather have good people on the other side than bad people on the other side.
Yeah.
And good people can affect change within that can't be affected from the outside.
Because they're already on the inside.
And if he's leading the way and having clean rooms that
they don't have the pesticides.
They don't have to use pesticides or radiate. Then that's what we're talking about. And I know there's also a number of different licensed producers that are lobbying the government in several ways about several of the regulations that they're stuck with. So there is improvement going to happen, and I believe that's got to be the case.
Yeah.
And they really need to expand the ability to get a license, the amount of people that are covered in a license.
Yeah.
Because we don't need just low barrier access for the people on the purchasing side of cannabis. We need low barrier access to people on the supply side of cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no need for large barriers for these people to be able to bring their product to the marketplace. There's no need for Trudeau to take his 448 grams off the top of every pound. There's no need for other restrictions and costly things. It should be no different than a farmer growing tomatoes and delivering them to a grocery store, and the grocery store buyer deciding yay or nay on whether he likes these tomatoes or not, and the deal is done. There's no need to go through government offices or anything else like that. Cannabis should be no different as a plant, as a vegetable. As a concentrate, it does have some potentials and properties that would justify having some regulations on it. So that's a different area of things. But there again, the regulations need to be reasonable. You know, regulations are there to try to offset potential harm from something, and they need to be reasonable. In the case of cannabis, they've thrown regulations at cannabis like as if it was this extremely dangerous, explosive, contagious
killing stuff.
Like, what about the children? We're going to allow this into the marketplace. Oh no! Well, I mean, the truth is, it's been in the marketplace, you know, be it legal or illegal, for ever since, right? And it's in all sorts of people's homes in lots of different ways prior to legalization. And it's not dangerous. It doesn't explode. It's not contagious. It won't hurt your children.
Well,
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not compared to anything else. You know, that we have here, and they should really start doing some comparisons to find what regulations make sense, because what they've done with regulating cannabis makes no sense at all. It just continues to increase the price.
Well, they're just proving themselves right. Oh, it's dangerous. We have to do this, right? Because it can't be wrong, right? Which
but they are wrong.
Yes, because it's human to be wrong.
The American Medical Association says they're wrong.
Yeah.
And we all say they're wrong.
As if they listen to the Canadians, or the Canadians listen to them, no.
Well, we are actually kowtowing to the Americans quite a bit, I think. I think maybe it's always been a Canadian agenda. They're not really following the U.S. They just use that as an excuse so they can implement their own measures of interfering with our freedom and rights.
Whenever they okay a new drug in the U.S., Canada doesn't just do it. They continue doing testing and then do it. So that's why I'm saying
within the pharmaceutical regime.
Yes, that they don't. I mean, the American Medical Association would be.
But there's lots. I mean, certainly in the cannabis.
I think their doctors are smarter than Canadian. I think there's some maybe more specialists or something. I don't know.
They have smarter doctors.
I don't know about smarter, but let's say they have more specialized.
They have more of them.
Yes.
And there's a good chance that some of them are more smart than some of ours here.
Well, I only say that because we refer to sometimes people have to go to the States for a specific operation that can only be done by somebody that's down there. Right?
You know what we're sending people to the States for now?
Chemo.
Radiation treatment.
Yes, I know, into Washington.
Not chemo, radiation treatment.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's the radiation that there's a whole bunch of people needing radiation, and they don't have the capacity to deal with them all.
Yeah.
So they're pushing people back farther and farther with the amount of time, and then of course as that happens, cancer can spread.
Yeah.
Depending on what people are doing to try to keep that from happening.
So they're sending them to Washington, are they?
Shipping them down to Washington.
That's the state, not the place.
Right.
Sometimes you have to tell people that.
I know, right? You know there's a Vancouver, Washington, right?
Yeah, there is,
That's confusing for some
That's
people.
confusing, yeah.
Apparently it's a very large city.
State and there's Washington, D.C. D.C. is on the eastern coast and Washington State is on the west coast.
Well, I could think of it.
What?
You know why they call it the White House?
Because they're racist?
Yes.
Really?
I thought it was white. I thought it was because the building was white.
I did not know that, but somehow that answer came to me because they're racist, right? Was it built during that time, slaveries and stuff? Yes. So okay, yeah. Wow, eh?
Yeah, they need to do some rethinking down there too about some things.
Yeah, but if they start doing the rethinking, right? Oh, I'm better.
I don't want to get into that
I can't
topic.
say that.
We need to script our show better so we don't get too far off track, right? We should have more things to talk about, like scripted, so that we don't have time to go off track. So what we need to talk about a little bit is what Redbeard is also doing, because prior to Redbeard's traitorism, I mean, whatever it was. I love you, Redbeard. I really do, buddy, and you know I do, right? He put on these amazing events called the Glass Gatherings because Redbeard is a famous glass blower. And that was his niche in our community for so long. He had a great show about it and all the rest of it. And he had these glass gatherings. So in the summertime, a big facility, mostly on the side of a mountain, people would gather. They put up a huge tent. They had all these furnaces underneath the tent there. People would bring in their equipment. They had glass blowers from all across the country come there. And they had a stage set up, so there was always like a live band playing. There was speakers. There was tents and people camping up on the hillside. All this stuff going on.
People having fun.
And yeah, people having fun.
It's been very fun.
And he was also was he the guy behind the glass games or the Olympic
well, there's glass games going on
at the Prairie Cup?
I don't know.
Or was he just a winner of that?
Maybe he was just.
He was just a winner of that.
Yes.
Because he's incorporated that into what's coming up is now. Glass gatherings have been on hold for a little while.
It's a new location.
Yeah, a different location.
15 minutes away from the old one. It's in Darby, BC.
I see.
Right? In Darby, there's no address. They'll probably have a pin drop eventually when it happens, but there's no address. They've had to take down trees and clear this whole area. They still have trees to take down, he says, in order to make this happen.
No,
right?
he's going to put you to work.
That's
what it's all about.
What they are really looking for is sponsors.
Yeah.
Right? They've only had one sponsor so far.
Oh, that's not good. We need to have more sponsors.
Yeah, so Canada Match might be a second sponsor. We'll know in a couple of days.
So the sponsorship packages come in $500, $1,500, and $25 or $2,500 packages. And you can either pay that with cash or trade. You have to talk to the organizers about that, and see how that works down. But if you got things to trade, and you probably would if you're a sponsor that would have something that you're looking to sell, then they might be interested in that as well. But yeah, it's a great event. It's very popular amongst all people.
Yes.
It gets lots of exposure. There's a chance that Mike Rita will be emceeing.
We'll see.
They're working on that. I know there's always great stuff, great entertainment going on
Mike has done
there.
it before.
He has done it before.
Yes,
and he's performed there as well.
Yeah, so.
I remember.
Funny.
So the last gathering is a great time for a weekend.
It is.
And I decided I'd eat some mushrooms. And I was kind of like the MC of the show there.
Yeah. Mushrooms.
That Saturday night. Well, I tried to time it properly, you see. I tried to time it so that by the time I was done introducing Mike Rita and then singing "O Cannabis" at 4:20 there, that he would carry the show for the next hour and a half or so with comedy, and then I'd be okay,
Yeah, no, hour and a half later, you're not so okay.
Well, it wasn't so much that. It was that it did start kicking in before I got to O Cannabis. I remember that, but I was okay. And then I got sitting down right in the front row there. Well, I mean, and I've told him this, Mike, you hurt me, buddy. Like, my cheekbones were sore for days. My stomach was like cramped. I mean, I laughed so bloody hard. He was so funny. Oh, it must have been the mushrooms.
No, it was Mike.
It was Mike.
Yeah.
He's gone on to be quite the comic. And,
he loves my laugh, he says.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a lot of people like my laugh.
You should put it in a can.
No.
Yeah, put it in a can. He can use it whenever he wants.
Like
He'll be upstage and just, all of a sudden there's you laughing.
Podcast in 2 days called Snacks of Life.
Somebody wanted me to sing O Cannabis into their phone so they could use it as their ringtone.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I only charged them $5 for that.
Yeah. Yeah, really, eh? I already have a recording of us singing that. So.
Oh, do you?
Yes. So,
that was fun.
Yeah.
420 was epic.
Ted Smith.
So at the glass gathering this year, I'm sure it's going to come back with a vengeance. I'm sure there's a ton of people that are really anxious to go because it was always such a great time. It's happening on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
4 days.
Of June, so about a month away, a little bit more.
Yeah.
You can get a $120 4-day pass that includes your ability to camp on site. So that's cheap as hell. That's like $30 a night to go camping.
Yeah.
Or you can get a day pass for $40 and just go there for one day, any day that you want. On the 22nd and 23rd, they're going to have the glass games.
Yeah.
Not sure what that means, but you should probably wear shoes.
Yes, probably not bare feet.
Maybe some safety goggles.
I'm sure it's probably blowing or something.
I don't know. They're gonna have fun with glass. I hope it's not over a concrete floor like we had out there at the last Mom Cup. What a place to have that going on there. It was with You know, if you were in that glass shed at the Mom Cup,
You dropped
you know,
something?
about every 30 minutes you'd hear something go off.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, concrete and glass don't go well together.
No.
There's going to be demos, like demonstrations of glass blowing, along with collabs, which means some of the great glass blowers are going to get together and work together with each other and come up with creations, which are always amazing. Some of those collaboration glass pieces that they've had at these events are
amazing. Yeah,
so
and
amazing.
worth a lot of money too.
So then on the 25th, they're going to have the judging of the glass blowing. Now, the glass blowing is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never seen it, it's incredible to watch. But to see it on the scale that happens at the glass gathering, where they've got this huge tent, they've got all these great glass blowers underneath there with all the kilns going, the flames going. When the sun sets and it's nighttime there, it's magic, man. It's magic.
See the flames there?
They got the band playing on the stage with the lights going on there. They got all the torches and the fire and the lights under the big tent there and all of that. Oh man, it is a magical night, especially if you're high. So, and that's kind of also the point of the glass gathering is we go there to get high.
Yeah.
It's an alcohol-free event. Redbeard frowns a lot on having people getting out of control. If you're going to do mushrooms or other psychedelics, you've got to be responsible in your use. It's a family event. There's many times there's kids and,
there,
and it's not a safe area ever. I mean, I don't know what the new place is going to be like, but it sounds like it's going to have some danger areas. The other glass blowing location had a mountain basically of rock, and you know, I mean, it wasn't a cool place to be running around high on some sort of psychedelic, you know, and not really aware of your surroundings.
We don't know the farmer's field or anything, right?
I mean, be responsible users of these things, and you know, if you're not going to be able to be properly aware of your surroundings and respectful of the other people, then go someplace else to do it, right? And I know that's Redbeard's sentiment on that. He had a few occasions where people were wandering lost out in the forest there, and, you know, and other such events. I mean, you know, we want to keep it a fun, respectful family event for people that want to go and get high, but not right out of their gourd.
A new service there will have little GPS trackers, and you could rent it for your friend who's high on mushrooms. And in case you lose them, you just can find them with a little GPS tracker. But do it
we'll have another
$20
event.
a day or something
we'll
like that.
We'll have another event where it's a little bit safer and people can get, you know, high on psychedelics. And then we'll have them all wear GoPros and we'll live stream it, and we'll have advertisers pay for the whole thing.
There you go.
I think I just started something. I don't know.
There you go. You never know, right?
You know that Dr. Gabor Mate has retreats out in the forest where they all sit around and do mushrooms?
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
I was surprised.
We've probably been doing that since the 60s or something.
But I mean, he's a medical doctor, one of the most renowned medical addiction specialists that is here. So I was a bit surprised.
Well, we know that it creates new neural pathways in the brain.
Which
means that your brain doesn't go to the PTSD side. When you create that new neural pathway, it goes this way instead of that way. So, yeah, I can see a doctor.
Oh, no, very therapeutic.
Yeah, very.
He's been an advocate for a long time. He's an addictions expert for sure. Was just surprised that he'd have circles of people out in the forest doing mushrooms.
That'd be cool.
But it would be very cool.
Yeah.
I never really envisioned him
our own circle of
as the shaman, you know, as the guy to lead these types of things. But there he is. So, but you're absolutely right. I mean, mushrooms are very beneficial to people. They're all over the place. You know, they're good for pain. They're good for addiction. They're good for depression. PTSD, as you said, which is you know like that. Yeah.
And you can't just do mushrooms and expect it to cure you. You have to do some work while you're on the mushrooms. You have to
go in with
train your
intentions.
brain to think the other way while you're on the mushrooms, because that's how it's created.
You need to properly state your intentions.
Yeah, because you can't do it.
And then hold those intentions in your mind as you're going through.
Well, what they did with me is they had me bring up the things that would bother me while I was on mushrooms, and then think of it a different way. You can't do it while you're not on mushrooms because you still have PTSD. You haven't been able to do it for all these years. Why are you going to be able to do it without mushrooms? But when you're on mushrooms, you do the therapeutic work, and it creates that new neural pathway, and now your brain thinks that way when you're not on your mushrooms anymore.
So that sounds a lot like neuro-linguistic programming.
Kind of.
But what you're illustrating is that there's a subset of people where neurolinguistic programming would be very difficult because they can't go to those places.
Well, it doesn't always work for everybody, just like cannabis.
So what happens with neurolinguistic programming is that they will get you into a proper setting, whatever that means, and it's a place where you can feel relaxed and what have you, and you're with the therapist there. And then you're going to go back and remember or talk about the things that are the thing. It's usually one thing at a time. Well, it can be more, but usually it's a phobia. So a particular thing is this person's phobia, and this therapist is going to get that person to talk about it and describe how it feels. Describe what the digital thought process is around it. What are they saying to themselves when they're feeling this? What are they visualizing when they're going through this? What are the visions that are? Because all these things are at play at the same time. In fact, there's the 5 senses that are all there. So what the therapist will do is get you to describe each of those 5 subsets of reactions or interactions with this phobia. And when you're doing that, they will anchor it. So when you're doing that,
some?
Yeah.
Here.
Thank you.
I'll share with you. There you go.
I thought I brought. Oh, it's right here.
Oh, is it? There you go.
So when you're asked to go back and think about what it looks like in your head when it's happening, your eyes will defocus, they will shift, and the therapist is aware of that. And while you're accessing that memory, they'll anchor it.
Okay.
Numerous different ways to anchor it. In fact, you can anchor it through any of the other senses that are being activated.
Sounds like EMDR too.
I don't know what that is.
EMDR is a type of hypnosis, but you're not really there. You're halfway there. They get you to do those things, and then they clap. They go like boom, like that, and it's gone.
Well, it is very similar,
right?
So what they do is, say they're using a bell.
Yeah.
Well, they could use a bell.
Yeah.
They could touch you. The therapist could
touch you.
Be in a way where you just one person, they just give them a little tap or something like that.
Yep.
So, they'll anchor all 5 of your responses: what it felt like, what it looked like, what it smelled like, what it tasted like, what it sounded like, what you were saying to yourself, and all that. And so each one of those gets anchored with the touch, or with the bell, or with the flashing of a red light.
Mine was a clap.
Or a clap. There's numerous different ways. So it's anchored.
Yeah.
So that can now bring on the full phobia.
Yeah.
So you ring the bell or turn on the red light or touch the shoulder, and you got that person right there in that full-blown phobia where they're responding to the phobic situation with all of their different senses.
Yeah.
So you've anchored it.
Yeah.
Now they take a break. They reset. They come back, and now you're going to describe to them through all those different senses what it was like before you had your phobic response. So before you were afraid of the Volkswagens or whatever it is you're afraid of.
That might be hard for some people.
And some people can't.
No, because
they can't. They don't even remember. They don't even remember.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, do you know anybody who goes through that, who sees that same red Volkswagen and doesn't start freaking out about it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Of course.
So what do you think that they're saying to themselves differently than you, or what are they feeling? And so you get the person to try to, and if they don't know about that, and you say, can you imagine what it might be like to not be afraid? Can you imagine to see it and just not even, and so you anchor all those responses with a different stimuli.
Okay.
So now, nothing personal, but you touch the person on the knee perhaps instead of the shoulder or the elbow or some other place. Yeah. If you're using touch. Touch works very well, depending on the relationship between the therapist and the client. But the ringing of the bell and the flash. So now you flash a blue light for every one of those. So now you've got that non-phobic response anchored through all the different senses with a blue light. And you've got the phobic response anchored with the red light. Or you had all of it with a bell and the other with a whistle.
Yeah.
2 different stimuli anchoring each of these different things, and then they put them together. Yeah. So they'll whistle and ring the bell at the same time, they'll flash red and blue at the same time. And what happens is that the human mind does not appreciate the phobia. It does not like being afraid. It does not want to be there.
Yeah.
It wants to be non-phobic in that situation, and it will collapse those new responses will collapse
Yeah.
the old initial responses in most cases. So that's neuro-linguistic
Sounds like
programming.
almost like mushrooms, right?
Well,
just
mushrooms
do
seems like it might be a great addition to
do
that.
the same thing. It's you go to those points,
Maybe
but
even
it
in microdose.
washes it with the new thought that you've been given, and
Yeah.
you work on that new thought so that when you're not high or microdosing on your mushrooms, then that's the thought that comes right out because it's squashed out the other
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just stumbled on something.
Without
right?
some lights and stuff, yeah, I know. Right? Well, I think other
just-
people did too. Like Corey was the one who taught me, did that with me.
I see.
Right, so.
Well, no, but I'm saying we just stumbled onto something because now you could combine the mushrooms with the
the lights
neuro-linguistic
and stuff like
program.
that, yeah.
Might be
And
a
maybe
thing.
talk
And
to
maybe
Dr.
they do,
Mateo.
and maybe they're way ahead of me. There's probably Google it and you'll see there's like 10 out of a
14,000.
million responses. I think we
That's
stumbled
something we
on
just
something.
talked about, yeah.
I know nothing. I know nothing.
Maybe Mateo is in Cabo or Mateo?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he can help you out. There you go.
Yeah. All these things are being worked on, and they're
We don't even
quite
know it.
incredible.
Yeah.
The ways to unlock the human psyche through psychedelics is very powerful. And thank God for people like Dana Larson
Yeah.
that are leading the way here in Vancouver with his mushroom dispensary
Yeah.
in plain sight on Hastings Street there with the great big sign on over top, mushroom cafe or no, is that the Coca? No, mushroom dispensary.
Yeah.
But
something like
in
that.
any case, it's becoming quite in our society. There's many others in Vancouver as well. I see posters all over the place for different mushroom dispensaries and
Really,
delivery
So they're
and
growing.
things like that. Yeah,
Mushrooms are popping up everywhere.
we just passed the season. Maybe that's why.
Maybe. Is it
And
not?
the-
No, I thought the fall is.
And meanwhile,
I thought fall is this season.
well, spring there's some too.
Is there spring? Okay.
it's
but
a matter
mostly
of
it's the
moisture.
fall, right? After the
Yeah,
cows
fall is-
have pooped and everything in the fields and all that
Absolutely,
stuff, right?
fall is the best time for
It's the
mushrooms
boss.
for
Okay,
sure.
all right, yes. And they're not illegal until they're dry.
Is that true?
Yeah, did you not know that?
I didn't know that. I was just
Yeah.
going to talk about that.
Yeah, were you? Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that meanwhile the authorities are scrambling to try to figure out how to regulate mushrooms
Yeah.
and continue to criminalize people that don't get it through the regulated systems. When it just grows in your yard.
Yeah,
You know,
a
what are
fresh
you
mushroom.
supposed to do? And you just kind of answered the question: is it's legal until you pick them and dry them?
Until you dry them, yes. You can eat them fresh, and they're not going to do anything for you. Well, they might make you sick. I'm not sure. I've never done that
I don't
research.
know about that.
But I know
I
that
don't think that's true.
The high part only comes after it's dry. Yep.
No.
Yep. I Google it. You got a phone?
You're a better Google. You're a
Yeah,
better
but my
Google.
phone's over there.
Oh, well, no, you can use mine.
How do I use your phone? All right.
Oh, maybe you don't
Okay.
know how, eh?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to give my code out.
No, and you can't give them your code.
No.
Yeah.
People would be grabbing my phone behind my back and looking it up and doing things.
It's probably Freedom Tour or something. All right.
I don't have my.
Why do magic mushrooms need to be dried?
We should have music that plays like do 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 do.
Yeah.
We got.
No.
Why do you should maybe say why do magic mushrooms need to be dry to get you high?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they do. Because I used to eat them. I used to eat them pretty fresh.
You would eat them fresh, eh?
When I was younger, yeah. When I was a teenager, we used to pick the psilocybin mushrooms and chop them up and eat them. Put them on pizzas. We did lots of things. We got pretty high off them.
Why do I have to dry my magic mushrooms?
Do 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 do.
It just tells you how to dry them.
Yeah. Okay. So why do I have to dry my magic mushrooms to get
dry
high?
them, yeah.
Do magic mushrooms
Why?
work if they're not dry?
Why? Do it,
Stands
do
for
I?
later here. Look at that. How did I get that? That's beautiful. So yeah, magic mushrooms. I highly recommend that people use those at least once or twice to find out what that's all about. You can microdose them without having much of an effect at all, except that they do have underlying effects on your own personal wellness and well-being and how you feel about things. Microdosing is a real thing that works well for people. A regular, fairly large dose of a gram or somewhere around there is very interesting, depending on the type of mushrooms you're using. these days penis envies are pretty popular, but there's a lot of
I know, eh?
popular mushrooms out there. I guess penis envies are talked about as being the more potent ones that are out in the marketplace. But a good gram of something like that, and it's a very interesting experience for sure. And then there's macrodosing or mega dosing.
Macrodosing.
Macrodosing.
So, micro and macro.
What do they call it? They taking a hero dose.
Oh, I do a macro dose, which is a gram and a half.
A gram and a half.
Yes.
Yeah. So a mega dose or a hero's dose would be 7-8 grams. Even up as high as 12 grams. I've heard of people taking, and that is a real life-changing experience. Apparently, I haven't done it myself. I probably will. We'll see. Yeah, I probably will. What I'm recommending is somewhere around a gram. That everybody should try that and see how they feel about that. It's an experience worth having, and like we said before, when you're going into that, it's better if you have some sort of an intention. Like you want to feel better about something, you want to stop worrying about something, something like that. The scene and the setting make a huge difference, when you're doing those types of psychedelic. What do you got?
You are right. It says fresh mushrooms are said to be more potent compared to their dried counterparts. More on this below. The downside, however, is that it could be a challenge when it comes to storage.
Right, if you want to try to keep them fresh.
The average shelf life of fresh mushrooms stored in a fridge is 5 to 10 days. Beyond that, you're increasing the risk of decay, which could be a waste of money and a fine product. But
it doesn't say it'll poison you.
No.
And does it say anything there about the shelf life of mushrooms once they're dried?
No.
But, I'm happy to be able to...
We did mention that you might get a stronger kick if you consume mushrooms fresh. This is a huge topic of debate, but it's nonetheless been the general consensus among many users.
Right.
Storage issues aside, trippers who tend to go fresh mushrooms often report a more intense trip. There's also the weight issue. The dried variant is largely deprived of water, with fresh ones weighing about 10 times heavier.
Right, so it'd be more expensive by quite a bit.
Let's add a bit of science into this discussion by looking into the two. Yeah, okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
You're smarter now.
Yeah, so I'm smarter, and I learned from you, right?
Wow.
When you dry your fresh mushrooms, they lose 90% of their weight in evaporated water. As a result, you need to adjust your dose in consuming them. That's why it goes down to a gram, I guess, because it's dried, right?
Right.
So
one dried gram is probably worth 8 or 9.
Maybe
fresh.
Maybe, yeah. Well, we've seen some big ones, right? So they're like that's why they call them peanuts.
What did
they look like that, right?
What did they weigh when they were fresh?
Yeah,
considerably more. Yeah, I remember getting high as a teenager on fresh mushrooms.
They don't taste like regular mushrooms. Duh. They don't smell like regular mushrooms either.
And what I recommend, there's several different ways to do it. They can have a bad effect on your stomach. It can cause a little bit of nausea going on there. I use vegetable juice. I put mine in some vegetable juice. Chop it up.
They're saying that they taste better dry, though. They taste better. But
if
we're comparing the taste between fresh and dried,
yeah,
a lot more will gravitate towards the former.
See, I said earlier in the show that I'm somebody who doesn't try new tastes very well.
Yeah.
With mushrooms, I don't like the taste dry.
There's your lemon juice. Fresh. You can try it in chocolate, ground it up with mixed lemon juice and some ice, or soaked in some pesto or honey.
And that's to do with the taste.
Yeah.
That's what they're addressing.
Yeah.
What I'm addressing covers both of those things, and that is the effect on your stomach. And the lemon juice might do the same thing. But to counteract the effect it can have on your stomach, the vegetable juice works really well.
Vegetable juice.
Yeah.
You mean like a V8?
Yeah, I use the one that's just says 8 blend.
Yeah.
It's not V8, but it's similar to that. I like it
call
better
it
than
V8,
V8.
They call it 8 blend instead, right? Just like just like on the podcast they were talking about frosted flakes, right? You can't copyright frosted flakes because they're flakes that are frosted, but they trademarked Tony the Tiger as the representative for those frosted flakes for Kellogg's, because you can go into a no-name store and buy frosted flakes
that aren't from that company.
Because that word is it's a word. It says something, I guess. It's not a trademark, right? It's a flake that's frosted with sugar, so the copyrights don't apply to something like that. But with your V8, right, it's just blend 8, right? And they just did the same thing,
it's
right?
8 blend or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. I got a whole bunch of bottles here because I drink it regularly and I don't usually use it with mushrooms. But when I do mushrooms, that's what I do is I take just a coffee cup.
Yeah.
I'll grind up about a gram of mushrooms. I'll put it in there first. Then I put the vegetable juice on there. I let it sit for about 30 seconds to a minute, but not much longer than that. If you let it sit much longer than that, now it really does take on the taste of the mushrooms, and I don't like it very much. So. And
another example is Cheerios.
Right?
Cheerios are Cheerios. They're little O's. The Cheerios can be nothing, so that's why they don't sell other Cheerios in the store. They sell O's.
Yeah.
Right? Because Cheerios is a thing. Frosted Flakes is different, right?
I used to eat Cheerios.
I learned that from the
time.
Snacks of Life, like the Mike Rita and Edward Snack Man.
Really?
So, yeah, they're talking about it. Yeah. I've been listening to that show, so I know what I'm talking about when I go there.
So snacks are an interesting thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Inflation is rampant in our economy right now with respect to the things that we're eating, and people are being very selective about what they're willing to spend their money on with regards to the prices of different groceries and stuff, but not snacks.
No.
Snacks seem to be in some other different category where people think it's not very much money, and so they're willing to spend $4 or $5 on a bag of chips, even though there's not much in there.
Oh wow, really?
You know, and it didn't used to be that.
$4 or $5 for a bag of chips. No.
Yeah, everything's expensive, and the snacks have gone up quite a bit. But there's not really much justification for the snacks going up.
Yeah.
They don't have the same issues as many of the other manufacturers have with supply chain and what have you. They've just sort of taken advantage of the inflation going up, and they've raised their prices quite a bit. But what they're really taking advantage of is this psychology amongst the consumers that snacks is not money that they need to worry too much about. You know, it's not like they're going to compare price per pound for this or that.
I use snacks to get me, like, for a meal sometimes. I'll have a bowl of cereal instead of having something that I can't afford, really. So
people will drive for a couple of miles trying to save a penny or two off the price of gas.
Oh, really? Yeah,
but when it comes to snacks, you know, they'll walk out of that same convenience store attached to the gas station having spent quite a bit of money for mostly air and a few little slices of potatoes. Yeah, and other things as well.
Yeah.
That really, if they thought about it, it's quite a bit of money. And a lot of people eat a lot more snacks than they think they eat. You know, if you're doing it every day, if every day on your routine is to buy, you know, a couple of this, a couple of that, coffees, whatever, that adds up.
Yeah.
It adds up quite fast and quite a bit. So anyway, think about all that.
Snacks are good.
Mike, you got to have me on the snack show there, obviously. I know what I'm talking about, don't I? You're going to represent me there.
They have lots of snacks. Yeah, they have like Canadian beef jerky, Canadian company called beef jerky. They have D's nuts. These nuts are the best nuts.
These are the best nuts, man.
Yeah, it is DEE''S, so these nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Free plug for D's nuts.
Yeah. Well, whatever. They got some energy drink and stuff like that.
And market share is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and people.
Well, he had to take his website down because somebody went to Health Canada and said that Edward wasn't putting allergy information and in French. The ingredients on the products, so they had to shut down his website until he does all this stuff. And sometimes the stuff is coming from the States where they don't have this.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, a website isn't that like in the ether?
Yeah.
It's not.
Health Canada called them up and shut them down.
Oh my God!
I know some people are so trivial, you know, to shut down some guy that's just got some promoting some snack companies that are helping him do his show, and well, no, you can't do that because.
So did he just adjust?
Well, he said he's going to adjust, but it might cost him money to do it
because the manufacturers that are sponsors don't do it down there. There's no reason for them to do it.
Exactly.
You know, maybe they can have a special run.
If you want to sell these American things in Canada, you're going to have it in French, and you got to have the allergies.
That's
may cause this, or may have been contaminated.
So really, you shouldn't be here co-hosting with me. You should just be the French person doing the THC show, and everything that I say, you have to repeat after me in French.
Well, now
how do we get away with it?
Now they have closed captioning on Facebook.
So now I got to put closed captioning in French or what I'm saying on my show?
They can probably change it to French, yeah. I would think so, right?
I love the French people and everything, but
in Spanish and all on my closed captioning, so I'm sure that they can. I'm sure they can do that.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love the French people.
Okay.
You know, they're all good. I love everybody.
French people.
I love everybody.
Hey, we got French fries. French toast. We love the French people. Come on.
We got French kissing.
French kissing too. Yeah. So we got fries, toast, and kissing. No.
What more do you need?
You can't put them down for
That's a Friday night right there.
There you go.
And a good Friday night at that. So.
I don't know.
But I don't like what the Quebec people are doing
about the language,
about their language stuff there. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't like what they're doing with the cannabis thing as well. And in Quebec, you know, this province in a supposed free country, where the federal government has like legalized the consumption and the purchase of cannabis. You can't wear a shirt that says anything about it.
Oh, right, yes, yeah, I know,
You can't have a pot leaf on your shirt or sell shirts with pot leaves on them. You know, they won't even let you grow your 4 plants.
So I don't think they can sell it, but I think you can still wear it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know about.
You know, I hear about all these draconian things going on with the language there and with cannabis. It's like, what the hell? It's not a free province over there. Like,
you know? Well, you can't grow in Manitoba.
I know.
You can't grow in Alberta. So,
in Quebec.
And Quebec, yeah. And then somebody's asking if the Tennessee will ever become part of the Sweet Leaf. No, well, we don't know. We're in Canada, but I hope so.
I see that in Connecticut they've unionized a bunch of cannabis workers.
Yeah, they want to be unionized. Yeah, so that's good.
I suppose.
Hey,
yeah, why not?
Why not?
I mean, if they're having their rights trampled on, I guess you need to have a union. A union's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Will a union lobby for reasonable access, or would a union lobby for just, you know, keeping their employees working even if there's nothing much for them to really be doing? I don't really know.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. You know, these things.
Programs that'll be that they will want, maybe a retirement program, a union can bring in or something. Right?
And set wages on things, and you know, and all of this is probably working to eliminate the ability of mom and pop and a family operation.
I hope not, because we got mom and pop beer, we got mom and pop wine.
In Connecticut?
No, I mean in Canada here, but I'm sure,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
right?
Yeah, I mean that's how it should be.
It should be.
You know, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's big enough that unions are required to keep proper balance on things. I don't know. I search for the truth all the time. That's what the show is all about. You know, we try to find the truths on things.
See?
It's very difficult. You know, like doing the right thing is not hard at all.
No,
it's easy. Knowing what the right thing to do is what's hard.
And sometimes people get in your way when you're doing the right thing too, and make it even harder for you to do it. So
there can be some of that if they're
doing government.
I mean, I don't know about anything specific,
right?
But you know, there's people doing things the wrong way and they like it just fine.
Yeah.
You know, the money is flowing significantly in the right direction, apparently.
Yeah.
But
in their mind,
well, in their pockets, in their wallets, and that's what motivates so much of what happens, and we have to be a little bit careful about that. And then that's what's going on. That's why I found this beautiful later.
Beautiful later. It's mine. It goes together, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
And even sentimental value.
I still have it. You know, I got this as a nice gift from a very beautiful lady, and I still have it, and it hasn't died on me. And yeah, I'm very, very happy.
Expecting it to die?
Well, I don't know.
I would lose it.
I would have lost it. Somebody you think you lost it, but no, it's.
What happened?
Yeah.
Where was I? I dropped something out of my pocket. And it was a plastic bag that had a joint in it because I was going for a walk at some point a couple days before, and I wanted to take a joint with me, so I just put it in a plastic bag, and it was in my coat pocket. And so I guess I was putting money in a meter, and somebody came along and said, "Hey, I think you dropped this." I looked like, "Oh yeah, that'll be mine." And he goes, "Well, you don't want to lose that." And I said, "Well, I don't know about that." I said, I live a pretty blessed life. I think I could afford to lose a joint, you know. And in fact, if somebody finds a joint like that, that could really make their day.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's not going to ruin my day. I didn't even remember I had it in there. And so I ended up telling him about what we do here and you know, just how blessed my life
You
is.
just smoked a joint with them, though.
No.
I would have
Not sure why.
them.
Yeah, I should have, eh?
Yeah.
Well, that's why
He
you're
was,
you
I mean,
and
he was,
me. You know,
he was hinting at it. I'm sure he was.
No.
Well, you would want to lose something
We did
like
stop
that.
and talk. You did talk to me about things for a little while. I should have
Yeah.
sparked that thing up.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm getting old. I think I'm getting senile.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting senile.
I think we all getting old. Second after second after second, we're all getting older and older and older.
I see, you know, just how much my mom has lost all of her mind about just about everything.
Wow.
In the present moment, she knows what she's surrounded by. She can comment on different things, and she's actually quite funny. But she'll make the same comment over and over again because she doesn't remember that she just said that.
Yeah.
And if you ask her anything, she'll say, "I don't know."
My mom's
You know,
turning 78 in 2 days.
so my mom has lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough cannabinoids.
No.
I don't know what it is,
Wow.
but dementia definitely is a big thing with my mom.
Did your mom drink when she was younger?
Not at all. No,
No?
my mom was a teetotaler and a very religious person, and a
Yeah.
Sunday school teacher, and
Many
lived a clean
pharmaceuticals.
life that way. I don't know about her diet. My whole family's diet wasn't great. My dad, having gone through the depression, was concerned about spending too much money on food. Always had greasy, cheap food that he thought was just fine.
Yeah.
So their diets might not have been great, but for whatever reason, my mom's 90 years old now,
Yeah.
and it's been at least 2 years, maybe 3, that she's really started to lose. You know, that's when it started,
Yeah.
and now we're 3 years into it, and you know, the poor woman, it must be hard. But anyway, and I look at her brother, her youngest brother, and he also has been losing it for,
Oh, really?
for a while. Yeah,
Okay, so
he's,
seems
he's
the
nowhere
blood.
near 90.
Wow.
But he's got it in his head that my brother stole from him.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah.
My brother is
The
a
brain
really
is a
a
powerful
really good
thing.
man,
Yeah.
and he was helping to look after my uncle by visiting him and spending time with him. And somehow he got it into his head, Irvin got it into his head, that Sam had stolen something from him.
Wow.
And he just can't get it out of
Yeah,
his
I
head.
know, because once you believe something, it can just fester and fester and fester. And it's hard
My
sometimes
brother
to beat
called
it.
me the other day. I don't know if I should be airing this.
I know, I was just thinking the same thing.
But, you know, he called, well, it's because a lot of people are experiencing this type of thing. And
So with other family
with
members.
family members, as
Okay,
the
that's good, yeah.
population continues to age, it is an issue. And so here's my uncle. He lives on his own. He's got his own suite there. He always has. He was married for a number of years, had a couple of different spouses, been single for a long time. He was the coolest of people. He was my cool uncle. We smoked weed together, and he was great. But he had an aneurysm, a brain aneurysm.
Oh, yeah.
And he's never been quite the same
No.
since. He thought at some point he got it in his head that I was taking advantage of his mother, my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I was not.
No.
I was not. I was allowing her
But
to
then he
pay
was
me.
thinking about something
I was
about-
going there and cutting her grass and
Yeah.
looking after the stuff at her house once a week. And my other uncle who lived with her went out and drank. I shouldn't have enabled that, but I did.
Yeah.
But I was there just to look after my grandmother for
Yeah.
that night, and I always did a bunch of stuff. And Grandma would usually give me $20,
Yeah.
and I would usually accept it. I mean, I wasn't rich at that time in my
Yeah.
life; it was something that I could use. But it wasn't that; it was that she really wanted to pay me that. And
Yeah.
I tried turning her down a number of
Oh,
times,
that was
and
no.
she was much happier
Yeah.
if she could give me a token of
Yeah.
what my evening's
And
worth of
also
work was.
teaches you work produces sometimes money, right? When
Well,
you
I
work.
was older.
Yeah.
I'm an adult at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
I'm not a
Oh,
kid.
okay.
I'm
All
an
right.
adult.
All right. I didn't know.
And my uncle somehow decided that $20 was coming out of his inheritance or something, that I shouldn't get it, that I should cut the grass for free or whatever. And, I mean, it was just stupid. It was like, no, Irvin, I'm not taking advantage of Grandma, and
Yeah.
I'm helping her, and you know, whatever.
Anybody
And
else in
he took a
professional
swing at
service?
me.
Really, professional service would have took more than $20. It would
Well,
have,
and
you
he
know?
couldn't do it. I mean, his back is bad or whatever. And he took a swing at me.
Wow. Eh? Wow.
So we didn't talk to each other for a little while, but I mean, I forgave that. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I now go visit. I don't think he remembers it at all,
Yeah.
because you know, we talk just fine. I'm now visiting him once in a while
All right.
because my other brother can't visit him because it's a nightmare that Irvin thinks that he stole something off him.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, he calls me. My brother calls me the other day to say that the police called me. That a social worker was dealing with Irvin.
Yeah.
And asked about if things were bothering him, and he said well, I got a nephew that stole some stuff off of me, and I'm not happy about it. And and he's obsessing about it. This has been going on for over a year now, maybe longer. And so she asked him if he had any weapons. He said, well, yeah, I got my rifle.
Huh.
So she called the police. And the police called Sam to see what that was all about.
Oh, wow.
And so he told him, that this is just crazy. My uncle thinks I stole something. I never would do that or whatever.
Yeah.
So the police asked Sam if he could go visit Irvin and take the gun away from him.
No.
And I said, no.
No.
And Sam said no. And
of course.
he said, that sounds like a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, I would think so, especially when the guy doesn't like you and he's got a problem with you. You don't
my
send a guy
God.
to retrieve a gun.
So Sam called me to see if maybe I could go over there and take the gun away from him.
Oh, yeah, sure. No.
I said, I can't. I've been thinking about it ever since. I really don't know how I could
think I
do
would
that.
refer to the professionals who get paid for
They're
their
not
guns.
allowed to do it, apparently.
They're not allowed to do that.
They're not allowed. The police are not allowed to go there and take the gun away from him.
Unless he does something wrong with it, I guess. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I don't think for a moment that my uncle is going to shoot my brother.
Wow.
Or, he doesn't like to drive. He can't hear anything anymore. He won't go out at night. He won't go out if it's raining. I very much doubt that he's going to wake up one morning, pull out his rifle, load it up, get in his car, and drive around looking for Sam and shoot him for stealing some things. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I don't think there's any worry with my uncle doing any violence.
Doing something like that, yeah.
But here we've got where, a social worker, maybe it's what she had to do. I don't know. I wasn't there for the conversation. I don't know what her protocols are. But, can you go over and see if you can take the rifle away from your uncle? Crazy world.
It is.
Not sure why I told everybody that, but like I say, it's family situations. They're going on all over the place, and I don't know what the right thing to do there is, but I'm pretty sure the right thing to do is not go and try to take the rifle away from a somewhat deranged uncle.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the person that they're focused on, that they're not happy about.
Yeah.
I might have a better chance of it, but I mean, it's just something that's not. I mean, I don't know what to do.
No. There's not much. If the police can't do anything, what can you do?
I know my uncle very well, even though he is, like delusional and deranged and losing it for sure. So I mean, I don't know how well I know him in that respect. But I mean, I'm confident that he's not a threat to my brother or probably anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a threat to himself.
But people are looking at the stereotype of a person who's having
you hear these stories,
mental
right?
health problems, and they have a gun, and sometimes they could just lose and go shoot people, right?
I know.
Yes, I know.
That's what I say. It might have been the right thing for her to do.
You would feel bad if something like that happened, and you were asked to do something like that.
I'll feel
right?
really bad now if something happens because I haven't done anything about it.
Yeah, but there's not much you can do.
I haven't come up with it so far.
No.
I mean, it's not an easy solution. I don't know what to say about the police not being able to go there and do it themselves. You would think that they could, but maybe that would just aggravate things as well.
Yeah.
Maybe if they went in there,
They might get mad.
put him in handcuffs, took his gun away from him, he would think
do that anyways,
he would think
right?
that Sam was behind that, and then now maybe he is upset, and maybe there's another gun, or maybe there's some, I don't know. But all of it sounds like a bad thing to me.
Probably the only way the police would be able to do that is if your uncle was to call up Sam and threaten him with the gun. Then maybe something like that.
Something like that.
Could be
but to have a social worker poke and prod in there and do you and da. And then I mean, like I say, I wasn't there, so I don't know, whether it was done properly or what was said or anything. But anyway,
but I guess under the social workers' work ethic, maybe they have to do something.
That's
like
what I'm saying. They may have protocols in place that she did the right thing.
Talks about suicide, right? They have to let people know, right? So
and maybe it is her job to go in there and poke and prod around and see if there's something going on there, right?
Yeah.
Because these things do happen.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's hard to be on both sides of the fence. Sometimes.
It's hard to know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And you just have some hope that the cops and the social worker know what they're doing and that they do the right thing, and you have some hope that your uncle's not going to do something crazy for no good reason. But, It does happen. So anyway, totally off topic completely.
Yeah. Well, we're talking.
Was there anything else?
I don't know.
There's Cannabis Day.
Yes, July 1st.
I think we talked about the glass gathering. I
did.
gave all the information about that. Get in on the glass gathering. That's a great thing to do.
Cannabis Day needs some sponsors too, right?
Cannabis Day needs some sponsors. We are going to have a stage, so that's a fairly major expense.
Yeah.
If we're going to have a stage, that means we're going to have some security, because we're probably going to gather a big enough crowd that we'll need porta potties. There's going to be some expenses involved in that.
So as big of a stage as 420?
I don't know what stage that has been got.
Right.
Rosie is organizing that side of it.
All right.
She put a deposit down. She messaged me this morning that the stage is secured, because that was a big question.
Yeah.
We've done Cannabis Days in the past where we've just put a tent up on the hill by the SkyTrain station and had a sound system that was fairly cheap to rent. We had you as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And a couple others,
and
that
played
covered
some music one year too.
And that's it. And that covered the cost of everything. We didn't bring in porta potties. I didn't need security.
No.
So there was
there's washroom right across the street from the park anyway, than the train station.
There is, but they don't like people using it, especially if there's a big crowd there. They put up a sign, for patrons only or whatever.
Whoa.
I don't know what
How
they do.
can you tell?
Yeah.
Because you smell like pot.
As an organizer, however, even though there's a bathroom across the street and there's maybe a couple others at the A&W and other places there and at the Yale.
And there's even a city one.
And there's the city one on the corner.
There's the city one right there too.
You might have just talked me out of bringing in porta potties.
Because there is a city one right there, but it's not a very nice place to use. It's pretty dirty, and apparently it's self-cleaning.
I was going to say, doesn't it wash itself?
Yeah, but I don't think
it doesn't go down in the ground. It just closes itself off.
And then some spray or something. Yeah, I don't know.
I watched this airline stewardess. She's got a YouTube short thing where she talks about the problems with flying.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of unsanitary conditions going on there. She said none of the waitresses none of the stewardesses, or what do they call it? Flight attendants?
Yeah.
Not stewardesses. Flight attendants. None of the flight attendants will have anything to do with any water that comes out of the tap in a plane. They never clean that stuff. They never clean out the interior of it.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of things.
But you're not supposed to drink that water.
Don't go into the bathroom without shoes on. That looks like water on the floor, but it's not apparently.
You know what I find funny
like
is that when you're sitting in that bathroom, there's an ashtray on the door for you.
Is that right?
Yeah, but we're not allowed to smoke anymore. But they still have the ashtray. They're still right there, the little silver thing.
Because they know people will. It's harm reduction.
Yeah.
It's harm reduction.
We don't want you to smoke, but here's an ashtray. Right?
So for Cannabis Day, we're going to have the proper stage. We're going to have to bring in security.
Good.
I may or may not have porta potties
at
Cannabis Day. We'll see. We want to save whatever expenses we can. We want to keep the booth prices down. We want to have large areas that we're not going to charge anybody for, of course. We just want to recoup our costs, that's all. We certainly did not do that at 420.
No.
If we do that, any extra money will go to bona fide charities. We'll make sure of that. But this is what it takes to put on one of these events. You have to be able to pay for these things that need to be paid for. And so somebody's got to pay for that. And if you don't have enough sponsors to cover those costs, then you have to do it with some booths.
Yeah.
So if you can sponsor us, that'd be great. We're going to have a proper stage. It should be a great event. There should be great opportunity for people to get their brand out there, and so go ahead and sponsor. Check it out. I don't have a website to give you right now to check on that. Weedfairy.com or something
Green
like
World
that.
Events.
Green World Events, yes, of course.
Probably.
Of course, you can check that out on Facebook. Message me personally. I'll make sure you get that information.
Yeah.
And we'll do that. And same with the booth spaces, securing some of the areas for booths that are ones that people would want more than the others. I think that's justified in doing that. I really think that anybody that comes to these events that does well should kick down something to the organizers, who put it on. Most of the time, we don't make money. There was the last 3 or 4 at Sunset Beach leading up to 2019, where there was money left over, and all of that money was given to those charities by Cannabis Culture, by the not by Cannabis Culture, by 420 Vancouver, which was the organizing group, the non-profit organizing group of the previous ones. They're no longer able to organize. Cannabis Cultures had to bow out of that for legal reasons and personal reasons. And so we're continuing the tradition. Of course, Dana Larson will be there.
And glad the gas gathering is continuing. We're not giving up. The cannabis community is getting together again. We are doing our events again. So let's keep it going.
We had a great 420. We brought a lot of the community back together there. I hope that we continue to
even though it
improve
was
on
piss
that.
and rain, we still had a lot of fun.
And we saw just how vibrant our community is. The spirit and the enthusiasm of people to stay in the pouring rain and lend their voice to the event. I think it's going to be a nicer day on July 1st.
Yeah.
I don't have inside
and
information.
I think the end of June should be great for the glass gathering too.
Yeah, it should be.
Usually around the end of June and July we usually get pretty dry.
If you do a 4-day event like that, sometimes you get 1 day of rain.
See, you could go to the glass gathering and 6 days later be here for BC, but for Cannabis Day. Sorry.
Well, you know my issue. My issue is that I can't really be away.
Well, I know
from
not
the
you.
DRB.
I'm saying hypothetically.
Oh, other people.
The people. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're not just talking to you. We're talking to them.
No,
too.
and it's
But
probably
yes.
Designed that way.
Yeah.
That
So it'll be a
it's
weekend
a
apart.
lead-up weekend to Cannabis Day, and I hope we're going to have a whole bunch of people come to Cannabis
July
Day.
1st is a long weekend. It's Canada Day. We call it Cannabis Day here in BC or Vancouver.
And for those of you who might be offended by that, the Canadians that are patriots, it was Cannabis Day long before it was Canada Day. We were doing, the community was doing Cannabis Day on July 1st when it was Dominion Day.
And I see.
Dominion Day was never anything that was celebrated.
I see. So they called Dominion Day, they changed it to Canada Day.
They changed because of how popular we were with our Cannabis Day. They decided to call it Canada Day. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. We do seek the truth on this show. Oh man, I'm so hungry. I gotta have something.
You're hungry, are you?
Oh man.
Is that what I've been feeling?
Well, I'm old
have
now.
A boost.
I'm old now, and when my stomach says have something,
you better eat. Yeah, there you go. Well, it's 5:33.
Tell me about Canamatch.
Canamatch is getting bigger. We're going to do 12 advertising episodes on the Snacks of Life.
So you're going to be on the Snacks of Life podcast.
Yeah, this Thursday.
This coming Thursday.
For 12 episodes at the beginning of the show and the end of the show, they're going to advertise Canamatch. And Mike Rita did the very first one, and it'll be up this Friday. We'll be able to hear that.
So you do it on the Thursday, and then it comes out the following Friday.
Yeah,
not the next day, but the week later.
Yeah, it takes time for them to edit the show.
So we'll be able to see what you have to say on there. And
we'll be able to see and hear it because it's on Spotify and Apple and on YouTube also. So I believe it comes out 7 a.m. on YouTube and then 7 p.m. on Spotify.
I see.
On that Friday. So.
And you'll have some opportunity to talk about Canamatch.
Oh, we were talking about CP, the CSP also.
And for those who don't know what Canamatch is, what's Canamatch?
It's your 420 friendly meeting and dating site. And we've increased 200 people since we've been back up the site. So, I checked it today and getting some of the things worked out.
So it's a meeting and dating place. I mean, that kind of does just say it all right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you really did encapsulate it all in one little phrase there. It's a 420 meeting and dating site.
Yep.
You can
Don't
use it
bring a bottle, bring a bag.
You can use it to meet up with people, just to have a cannabis connection, a like-minded friend. Or you can use it to date, which is a great combination of things.
Yeah, and it's all
no pressure, right?
No
pressure. No, I'm just messaging you because I want someone to smoke weed with. The fact that you look gorgeous on your profile, we'll talk about that later.
But it's the same thing as if you're outside and you smoke a joint and somebody smells it and they smoke pot. They come over and talk to you. Now you've met somebody, right? So that's what cannabis does, right? So now Canamatch just promotes that even more, right?
Are there any other sites like yours?
Nope.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a contest too. We've had a suggestion that we should do a contest. So maybe over the 12 episodes, we'll announce that if you make a video and put it on the Canamatch of how Canamatch could help you, we're going to give away a lifetime membership.
I see.
Yeah.
And so how does it work, Canamatch itself? You go to... You download the app first?
Yeah.
So you would download the app, or do you need to do that? You don't have to?
You go to Canamatch.ca.
You can just go to Canamatch.ca.
Or you can go to the Google Store and get the app.
So then you create a profile for yourself.
Yep. And then
does it come with, so you have, what?
you got
eventually you're going to pay for For what? Posting comments
No,
or sending
you're
messages?
going to send messages, yes.
You're sending messages.
So when you sign up, you get 10 free messages right away.
Okay.
So that's 50 credits.
So,
boom.
and if you're just new in town and you don't have a cannabis connection and you're looking, so you would scan the profiles, see someone who looks like maybe they might have a connection or something like that. Then you could message them and say, "Hey, I'm new in town. I'm just looking to find some good bud and maybe have a puff." And then that's how that works. Or you could say, "Hey, you look totally hot. I can't wait to jump your bones. I got some of the best chronic.
And when you do your
where can we meet?
You get to choose. Do you dab? Do you smoke? And there's tons of things that you can choose from.
And some
do
of
you
it would
kayaking. Do you like music?
And some of that would be already there on the profile, right?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the profile, you're not just seeing a picture and swiping left or swiping right. You're able to see, what this person is saying.
So
they like long walks with a short doobie, or
something like that.
Short walks with a long doobie.
Yeah, or you just meet somebody to be cannabis friendly with, right? So
right.
I think it's that's what all cannabis does. We get together, we smoke, we laugh, we have a good time.
So you're new in town, you want to meet some friends, or you've been in town for a long time, you want some new friends because you don't like your old friends anymore, or whatever it is, or if you're looking for a lover and a wife and make babies, all those things are available through cannamatch.ca. It's a great idea.
I don't know about making babies, but that's up to them.
Oh, that's got to happen, Glenn. That's got to happen.
That's what few people think. That's just a Cannabis thing.
Well, but I'm saying there's got to be hookups happening on Cannabis. At some point you'll be able to talk about how many people ended up getting married.
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
And how many of those had children. Yeah. And now they got grandchildren going on, and you're considered the great grandfather of all of them. All that can
I have
happen.
a friend, Hazel, who suggested this contest thing. She says, I've got a great idea. I just have to get it out there more. So I've been thinking maybe I should offer her 55% of the profits, and I'll take 55% of the power, and maybe she can help me out with some more ideas, because she did pretty good with herself. She did.
I have no idea. If you want an agent, I'll help you decide what the right figures are and all that. But, don't sell yourself short is all I'd say. Go in high with room to.
A really good friend. I've known her for a long time. She's married to Dusty and stuff like that. She had leftover hippies incense, and it's on Etsy now and everything. She's done really, really good for herself, and her family. So you
want to deal with people who are into win-win.
Yeah,
they're not trying to take advantage of you. They're trying to,
She said, "I can steal your idea and run with it." And she said, "But here's an idea, and give it a try." And she said, "If you don't, then maybe I will steal your idea."
No, there's a little incentive.
That's a friend, right? Yeah, that's a friend.
Well, that's great. I'm really happy about that. We've lost a lot, I think, within the cannabis community due to the pandemic, but even more so because of legalization.
Yeah.
And the community that we had before that used to meet regularly at the Amsterdam Cafe, Cannabis Culture Lounge. There was usually events going on here and there. Not much of that is happening anymore.
No,
it's not
really coming back.
Crowd. And maybe it's coming back.
We are.
And Cannamatch.ca has a bunch of stuff to do with that, I think.
We're going to try.
Just helping to connect people. Do you have a bulletin board?
No.
You could have a bulletin board.
What's the bulletin board?
Where there are events going on.
I only know the bulletin board from our schools and stuff.
You could have a digital bulletin board that people could go to on the site to see what sort of events are happening for cannabis friendly people.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
If you don't have that, I only want 55%.
Okay, but that's only free advertising, so you get 55% of nothing. So.
Okay. Well, I still take my 55%.
We'll just see. We'll see what happens.
No, I think that's a really good idea because that would help to unite the community.
I think there's something in there. I was in the controls today going through stuff because
I believe you can do it.
Yeah.
You could Cannamatch.ca could be a go-to point for people that want to find out what cannabis events are happening. If there's a glass showing somewhere, if there's a protest somewhere or anything like that, people could post to it and other people could see that it's happening. It would be a great way to bring people together in those events as well. So there's my idea for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I've always liked the idea of Cannamatch.ca, especially at this time when I feel like our community has been somewhat decimated as far as
it brings people back together again. That's what we're trying to do.
So I think Cannamatch.ca has a great role to play.
We got the couple section, the same thing. If you're traveling and you go to San Francisco, you can reach out to people that are already on the site in San Francisco and ask them to show them where to get good meds, maybe good food, maybe a good drink or whatever.
Not necessarily a swingers
somebody
hookup, but it could be.
Yeah, you met somebody, another couple, and they could be your friends afterwards, and vice versa. Anybody that comes here, that's how it works with the couples. So
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, very
It's all
good.
about meeting people and cannabis.
And I do think you have a big role to play in having that happen. So good on you.
We're getting the searches out there and everything with this.
So cannabis.ca could also be just a website that anybody could go to, and anybody could access that bulletin board of events that are coming
You
up.
still have to make a profile.
Why?
Because when you go onto the page, you have to log in. There won't be there's no room to put a bulletin board with the banner. And
I see.
Right, there's the banner and then there's the login information, right? So
Right.
you would have to you wouldn't have to pay to see the bulletin board. You just have to log in. It's free login. It's free to sign up. So that's not a problem. If you want to see the bulletin board, you still have to log in.
But you still have to give them your email address.
Yeah.
Give you their email address.
Yeah.
Which maybe is no big deal.
No, it isn't. But it
Probably
doesn't.
not.
And
Not for most people, but some people don't like giving up their email.
Their password. It doesn't even show me their password. Everybody's password is all the same. It's 2Y, a bunch of things, all the same. So your stuff is private there. Okay. Right. So
we're hashing out the evolution of Cannabis.ca right here on live stream.
It's 5:45.
5:45. Time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been great.
We're going to go up to the CSB.
I'm going to do all that. Yeah.
All right.
We'll do a little.
We'll do that.
We'll do a little wrap up here.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
I got really comfortable.
Ontario. I'm on my way to Ontario tomorrow morning. Yes.
So we'll have to figure something out for next
Mom's
week.
turning
I don't own that.
No.
I want to, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some nice female to give me a beautiful lighter.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
She's a great lady. Bulletin board is a great idea for networking. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Say thank you.
Thank you. I knew it already myself, but I appreciate the feedback for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Glenn. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
you again for everything. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, I guess.
No, next week.
Oh, next week. And then
I'm flying back on Monday. I'm not missing the show.
You're not missing the show.
No, only gone for 6 days.
What do I know?
Yeah, it's
like
not
I said,
miss out of school either.
You're dealing with an old guy going senile here, so what do I know? In the meantime, hopefully before I go completely senile, I'm not sure how much time I have left, but in that time that I have left, we're going to stay diligent and continue the efforts that we've been doing for a long time here. It really goes back right to the beginning, I'm sure, of the prohibition of cannabis and the protests against that. That those of us who don't agree with those prohibitions and over-regulations and things have been asking for all of that time is still what we're asking for. We have legalization in the United States, in many of the different states, in a large number of states actually, but not at the federal level. We have federal legalization here in Canada, where states have some ability to opt out apparently. But none of that is what we're asking for. All of that continues the prohibitions and the overregulation of cannabis. In the United States, it's all about fees. That there's all kinds of different fee points where you have to add cost and add cost and add cost until the cost to the consumer is way above what it should be and completely unreasonable. And it's blocking out of the marketplace all of those farmers and producers that would love to be there, that without all of those regulations and restrictions and prohibitions would be able to bring their product to market at reasonable cost and have reasonable access for people. And that's exactly what we're asking for. This show, since its inception, has been following the journey of the Cannabis Substitution Program, the CSP, in its quest for low barrier access community cannabis stores. It's been quite the journey. The show, we're well into our 4th year. In fact, I think we're about 8 months into our 4th year, which boggles my mind a little bit that we're soon to be into our 5th year of doing the THC Show. But the show from its inception has been following this journey. The journey started 6 years ago, last February. And a little bit prior to that, as I went about trying to get the proper permissions and informing the right people about what the plan was. And the plan was to get cannabis high-dose edibles as easily available as possible to those people who would primarily use it to get through withdrawal and get off of the hard drugs that was driving the public health emergency that we were responding to. There was not legalization in Canada at the time. There were no licenses to apply for. But what I did do was go and get the support of the local harm reduction advocates, VANDU, Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users, government funded, run by peers and advocates, to operate in a collaboration to make it as easy as possible to get high dose edibles to people that needed them and would use them. I then, with that support, went to City Hall and lobbied for their support, without much success, I must say. I informed the Vancouver Police Board of what our plans were and what we were going to do. And then I spent a couple months trying to get City Hall on board before we actually started the program or the project. And after a couple months without success, I had gathered enough donations from people like Weeds, Glass and Gifts and the Medicinal Cannabis Dispensary and some other amazing, wonderful people that helped get it off the ground. And we started handing out care packs to people that would line up to get them once a week for a full year and then twice a week for the next 2.5 years. We eventually did get City Hall to pass a motion in support of what we were doing because we were having great success. No complaints, nobody ever harmed. A whole bunch of people telling us that they had gotten off the hard drugs thanks to the cannabis that we were providing to them in the form of high dose edibles. So with the city support, we got ourselves a storefront, as we had discussed with the city councillor about getting, and subsequently were told that, well, the licensing department was not on board and we would have to get an actual license from Health Canada to be able to operate as a storefront. Meanwhile, we had been operating the store for 5.5 months, using a model of a collaboration between a for-profit dispensary, the Healing Wave, and the Cannabis Substitution Program, which operates solely on donations, but by this time had become extremely reliant on the Healing Wave to be able to have a space to operate from and to have donations that were necessary to top it up to keep it going. However, after 5.5 months of operating that model and being told that we needed to get a license from Health Canada, we were forced out of the store because Health Canada did not respond in a timely fashion as they said that they would. Neither Health Canada nor the Federal Minister of Health, Patty Haydu at the time, responded at all to our application for an emergency temporary exemption from the Cannabis Act to protect us while waiting for licenses. Because those things didn't happen, we were forced out of the store and into an RV, unable to stop what we were doing at that point. 5.5 months, like a half a year of having the people that had then become members, the ones that had lined up for 3.5 years prior to that, we had made members out of most of them. They could now come every 4 days and get 420 milligrams of their choosing as part of the new program that we had available now that we had a storefront. We couldn't go back to just a couple days a week on a sidewalk and have these people line up again like they used to. We needed to have a storefront to operate out of, or someplace where we could continue what we were doing uninterrupted, because an interruption to what we were doing would put lives at risk. So we bought an RV, parked the RV right in front of the store, started providing the same service that we were providing from the store from the RV. In a little bit limited capacity, a little harder to work out of an RV, a little cramped for sure. But yeah, exactly what we could have been doing inside the comfort and safety of a store, we were forced to do from an RV while we waited for Health Canada. We had submitted our application 2.5 months prior to getting evicted, waiting for Health Canada. After we were evicted in December of that year, we had a meeting with Health Canada about our application, where they apologized for taking so long. Said it was complicated, but that they would likely have it done for us by early January. And early January came and went. And then it was late January and February and March and April, May, June, July, and a whole year went by. We continued to send studies showing the safety and the efficacy of what we were doing here to Health Canada. And we continued to get responses like, "Rest assured, Mr. Magnuson, our team is working diligently on your file every day since we got it." They certainly weren't working to say yes to us, and they certainly didn't work very hard on our emergency application for a temporary exemption, which we've never gotten another response back from, except for the initial one where they said they'd got it and they would try to respond in a timely fashion. Nothing like that. So we've been in the RV now for 2.5 years waiting for Health Canada. We've had to respond now twice to their intent to deny our application. We did so in a very profound way, I thought, especially this last time, and we're just waiting to see what they say about it. They say that we shouldn't sell cannabis to people without a doctor on board to justify their purchase. Certainly not high-dose edibles. They say that we shouldn't be providing cannabis from suppliers who aren't part of the legal production system, that we should be paying the prices that they're charging, including Trudeau's sin tax right off the top and all the rest of it, and raising our prices by tenfold at least to the people that we're trying to help here that can barely afford what we have. In fact, there's a lot of people that can't even afford what we have at $1 a gram and $1 a joint, and those people get it for free because that's the way it should be. And that's what the government should be doing, is at least supporting us in making sure that those people that need it, that can't afford it, get it. That those people that can afford it are not gouged, that they have reasonable access, and that there not be the barriers that the Cannabis Act is placing in the way of the poor and the sick and the addicted to accessing what would save their lives and better their health. So there's another thing in there. This is all for those people who don't watch the show regularly, who don't know what's going on, so I have to give you this kind of background. We've also, during that 2.5 years of being in now our third RV, one of them was firebombed, that's another story, but we were arrested a year ago right now. It was today, is this the 11th?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, a year ago?
Yep. It came up in my memories.
I see. I came up in my memories just the tents that we had outside. So yeah, it would be a couple of days before that. So yeah, we're just past a year now since we were raided and arrested and charged with selling cannabis without a license. We had the RV seized for almost 5 weeks and operated under a tent every day during that time, never missing a day, always being here 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. Until the VPD gave me my RV back, where we parked it right where it started out and where we continue to provide cannabis just like we always have. But now we're facing these charges. And after 16 court appearances on the public dime, we have an actual date for a preliminary hearing of October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th next year, or this coming fall. But in the meantime, we're still keeping on. And trying to get Health Canada to do the right thing and support what we're doing. And I don't know about getting these charges dropped. I don't think I want the charges dropped if Health Canada is not going to do the right thing, because I want to take Health Canada to court and kick their butts right from one end to the other and have the Cannabis Act thrown in the garbage. And if that's what we have to do to get that, then I want to go to court to do that. But if Health Canada is going to do the right thing and allow for low barrier access to the marketplace, both by the consumers and the providers of cannabis, then our work is done. Canada will have done the right thing, and this show, if it continues, will be devoted to things other than the quest for a low barrier access cannabis store. But in the meantime, that's what we're doing. That's why it's repetitive every week. I would love it to be a lot more interesting than just following this, but that's the way it is. We're going to go outside. Due to technical difficulties, the broadcast was abruptly ended before it was over. The bulk of the show can be seen in the previous broadcast for May 16th, but we're going to have an addendum to that one, and that's this. And we were right at the point where we're going to go outside and quickly check in on the RV, and that's where we're going.
They got thumbed. Sorry about that, people. It was my fault.
Oh, you don't have to admit anything.
Oh, I do.
They never do on any other one.
Oh, well, I own it.
They just put up technical difficulties. They don't put up their Johnny blew it at the switchboard. It's a gorgeous day in Vancouver. It was really hot actually for here this time of year, unseasonably hot for a couple of days there for the weekend. But today was very, very nice. It's not as hot as all. As I promised you, the RV is parked right out front of the store, which is where we were broadcasting from. And we'll go in there and have a quick check with the people and see what's going on.
All right, let's do it.
We do like to advertise,
Yeah,
you know, to everybody
there's
driving
signs.
by.
Sign, everywhere is sign.
Well, little secret knock. Just walk right in apparently.
Oh, hey, you didn't do the secret knock.
There we go, I did it.
Gentlemen, good. Oh, okay.
Smells good too.
It's nice in here. It's not too hot at all.
Yeah, it's a nice day here. I got a fan here.
Because it's going to get really hot. It is when the sun hits it. I imagine earlier in the day it was pretty hot in here. I haven't been out here yet today, so I don't really know. I would imagine we did have a coating put on the roof. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. That is supposed to keep it cool in the summertime.
That's awesome. There you go.
It is. It's definitely cooler than the last van.
Yeah.
With the two vents, it's a lot cooler.
And a higher ceiling, maybe
Higher
so it's a
ceiling.
little warmer up in the
Yeah.
top couple of feet there or something.
And
And because you guys are so cool, it keeps it cool down here too.
It seems a little more fireproof in general, you know.
Yeah. Harder to access
Even though
through
it's
the back
always
door
smoke coming out of the windows, right?
It looks like it's on fire.
Those are idea clouds.
Those are idea clouds.
So a good day, yes?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Just another day in the life of saving people's lives and bettering them in ways that make them, what's the word when they go all over
Flourish.
you? You know?
Flourish.
Yeah. So, Adam, who's been on the show a couple of times in the past here, talking about issues that he had with being raided at his home to do with the making of edibles for people and facing charges, and there was going to be a constitutional challenge. And I think you have some interesting news for us.
Yeah, so I got a call from my lawyer yesterday, and he decided to be a little cheeky about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Told you it was bad news?
yeah, well, he's like, I don't know how you're gonna take this kind of news. I said, okay. Kind of got prepared for the worst, and
Because you're not paying him for a sense of humor.
yeah, right. I'd be out a lot of money if I was.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good guy, and yeah, basically he told me that he's seen paperwork being sent off to the court clerk. Charges.
Nice.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
After 2.5 years.
After doing as much as they could to ruin your life and take your property and all the rest of that.
Kill your fish.
They're just able to say,
Yeah, sorry about that. No, not even just like, oh well.
You should be really happy that we're going to drop this.
Right?
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, of course, probably better than the alternative, although who knows what would have happened in court. I think they're so afraid of things going in court.
Like I said before, the constitutional challenges that are being pushed on them from quite a few different places now.
included.
Yours, mine that was going to happen. Like I said, there was
the one that just happened with the Warnocky Seaman Martin case.
Yeah, there's a guy from
the Howell case from Alberta before that.
There's a guy from the Okanagan that's supposed to be posting one here pretty quick too, if he hasn't already done it.
Pardon?
So I mean, we're definitely putting the pressure on them. I think.
Yeah, I don't think they want us in court.
I don't think so either.
I'm anxious to get into court.
I know.
I'm gonna, like I said, a few minutes ago on the show, I'm gonna kick their butt from one end to the other to that courtroom.
Yeah.
Because all we're doing is responding to a public health emergency as good citizens doing the right thing. But more than that, we've demonstrated it successfully for over 6 years. It's
For
like
sure.
the body of evidence supporting what we're doing here that it's not a crime. There's no bad actors here.
Yeah.
This is all about just people that want to give back to the community, at a time that is really, really needed. We're going to kick their butts all over the place. The Cannabis Act, sorry, I'll let you go.
No, that's
but
good.
I just want to make sure everybody understands this. The Cannabis Act has stated goals of wanting to keep people in a regulated supply of cannabis for their own safety and to deter illegal activity. Yet the Cannabis Act itself is the biggest barrier to achieving those goals.
Yeah.
Because the barriers within the Cannabis Act, it keeps the price out of reach for most people, especially the poor people, the sick people, the daily users, the addicts that would use it to get off of heroin and other things. Those people can't access through the legal system, so they're forced into the unregulated cannabis, which is one of the goals of the Cannabis Act, was to prevent that. And as far as illegal activity goes, well, if there's more people in the underground marketplace looking to get hooked up, there's going to be more illegal activity. And in fact, when you really do snuff out most of the easily accessible cannabis outlets, the easily accessible hard drug outlets become the drugs of choice for people that are suffering. So they're forcing people not only onto an unregulated supply of cannabis, but into an unregulated supply of hard drugs, and they're enriching all of the bad actors involved in all of that. So, they don't want to go to court, because they're going to be, pounding that heavily in court, along with a lot of other things that are really wrong about this corrupt, evil legalization that the Trudeau cartel is
Legal lies.
full of lies, is what it is. Those lies, and they know it. Don't want us in court.
I was fighting it a lot longer than you are, so I'm wondering if they're gonna, eventually do the same. Because they did us pretty dirty. I mean, between saying we were giving it to kids at our own house on Halloween, like that sounds like a very good business
It's not a
decision,
nice
right?
thing to say about somebody,
No,
especially if it's not
absolutely
true.
not. And so, we have had some complaints in against them to the Commissioner's Office of BC, and they have sided with us for a bunch of it. And so basically, they had it on suspension until the court case was done. So, said and done, then we're definitely going to avenues on probably taking the fight to them too.
And you'd like to get some of your stuff back or some compensation. I mean, you lost thousands of dollars worth of pets.
Yeah,
which is a horrible thing for them to do.
Yeah, just even my fish. I mean, I had $6,000 worth of exotic fish, and
But now you have to sue them and wait 3 or 4 more years, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the fight never ends.
Yeah.
And they took your truck.
They took our truck that we were.
So you'll get that back?
No, $30,000
And
in
you're not
financing.
calling it proceeds of crime because you didn't own the truck.
Yeah.
You owed like $30,000
Yeah.
on the damn thing, which you're still on the hook for, and they've got the fucking truck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still really, really, really wrong.
Well, they have to give you back the truck.
Well, they don't. They don't have it anymore. They do an auction house.
So there's compensation.
Well, that's
that's required.
yeah.
So I mean,
Considerable.
and yeah, there was compensation for stuff like the truck. I mean, hopefully getting it, because they took our laptops, they took our cell phones, they took a lot of extraction equipment. And these are
in the
things-
wintertime, they turned your power off and took away a good portion of your quality of life.
Well, not only that, but they actually opened up every door and window in my house before they shut off the power, and they left my 3-year-old rescue short-haired dog in the house, and it was like arguably the coldest weekend of the winter. So it was pretty nasty. I mean, they did us pretty dirty,
Yeah, man. I think it's some good and proper conversation
Me too.
on that.
Me too.
We'll see where that all goes. So far, they get away with most of this stuff, and they've been doing it for a long, long time. And we really need to do what we can to stop this, to get some sanity going on. And if you're not going to be able to go ahead with your constitutional challenge, I'm really hoping that we will be able to. As I stated just before we came out, the only thing that's going to stop that is if Health Canada does the right thing and allows for low barrier access to the marketplace for both producers and for the consumers.
Or they just just say, oh, you're off the hook with your charges, because then you can't go through with it, though, can you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can or not.
Actually, I had never asked my lawyer if he could.
I think we can launch a constitutional challenge against them without being charged, but with them dropping the charges. But I don't know.
I never asked my lawyer about
We're gonna
that.
find out.
Never asked my lawyer about
I'll be
that.
smarter down the road a little ways when I have more experience with these
Yeah.
things. Experience, that stuff you get just moments after you really need it.
Yeah, right.
In any case, so this is what's going on. We're still here doing our thing, fighting the fight, trying to make it all happen. I want to shout out to the other CSPs out there. Halifax with Chris Backer, the amazing work that he's been doing out there for, must be in his 4th year, if not 5th year by now, helping people in Halifax with the CSP. We've now got new chapters that have opened up in Surrey, the Wally version and the Newton version, doing really fine work out there, getting it to people that are otherwise, not able to access it all, and having similar responses to what we had in the early days of our CSP, of people just being amazed and so thankful, and it's warming the hearts of the people who are doing it. They all could use donations. The CSP is run completely by donations, by volunteers. Nobody makes any money off of anything to do with that, for sure. In fact, everybody puts in a lot of their time and effort, and in many cases money, to make this happen. That's how it works. And so, if you want to get involved in something special, if you want to feel better about yourself than you can imagine, then get involved in supporting these initiatives that are on the one hand providing, nourishment and cannabis medicine to the very most needy of people, and on the other hand, hopefully forging the way ahead for proper access to cannabis through low barrier access stores. So that's what we're trying to do here, and we could really use all the help that we can get in whatever way you can imagine to help. Come on out to Cannabis Day. Have a Cannabis Day if you're in Canada, or have a Cannabis Day if you're in Jamaica or Germany or anywhere you like. Cannabis Day is not a particular day to do with Canada. It just happens to fall on the day that they later named Canada Day. But Cannabis Day is Cannabis Day. July 1st is Cannabis Day. And I think it's a global celebration and protest against what's been going on with cannabis and what cannabis is all about. So have yourself a Cannabis Day on July 1st. Use it like you used 420 to design some sort of a way to protest, to make a little bit of a difference, to write a letter, send an email, make a phone call, talk to somebody, contact the media, whatever it is you think you can do to help. The more people that help, the better chance we have of actually attaining the goal of low barrier access, of proper real legalization. That's all we're really after, is just get out of get the government out of the way of people accessing cannabis, and only be there when reasonable and necessary. It's easy. Same thing you've always been asking for. In any case, please do your part. Please help us. Please help all those who are helping. Thank you, all you who are helping. Thank you for all you who are going to help. And whoever you are, whatever you're doing, as you go through your life, recognize that life is special, life is short. You can look at things in a number of different ways. If you look at it in a positive way, then you'll feel positive about your world, and I highly recommend that. Be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, and most important, absolutely most important, have as much fun as you can. I'll see you next week.